तू चलता चल तू चलता चल तू चलता चल तू बढ़ता चल तू बढ़ता चल तू बढ़ता चल.
LFE standouts have occurred in the past, like the present one. We had one a longish standoff in Doklam, which you will also be remembering in 2017. The inferred objective of Chinese had been to make India and countries in Asia and the world realize that China is a regional dominant power. Message was very clear for Bhutan also that you can't depend on India too much. It is not much capable of doing things at that stage when China is involved. One thing you have to note here is important is the consistent aspect of Chinese conduct has been not to give up even an inch of its stated position. As far as they are concerned, whatever package deal and all they had offered earlier, which I feel last was 88, since then they have increased their claims. That is the as how things stand today. See, today what is happening is that US has led the offensive against China post COVID-19 and allegations of China having mishandled the thing, not informed the world in time to be prepared. So there is a lot of pressure on China. Most of the European countries have also joined the US in this. A large number of businesses have shifted out of China. Because of these things, China is likely to suffer economic losses. India appears to be aligned with the US at the global level, and in Asia with once again with US, Japan, Australia in the Indian Ocean region. South Asian countries are realizing that they can benefit by aligning with the OBOR initiative, and they can definitely do with the Chinese funds to help their economies, which they are all benefiting. Of course, they are all also getting into a debt trap of the Chinese. Pakistan is as it is against India, and it is a close Chinese ally. And with American influence reducing in Afghanistan, China will automatically become a very predominant player in the Afghanistan-Pakistan region. With the Hindu majoritarian politics pursued by Modi, improvement of relations with Pakistan is unimaginable till such time as we have this Hindu majoritarian politics dominating India. Because for their survival, they need an enemy. Just like the Pakistan needs India as an enemy, now we also need Pakistan as an enemy. A Muslim enemy is very important for this Hindu majoritarian politics of Modi. Bhutan realizes that India cannot do much if China adopts an expansionist stance. That was the Doklam area. It was, after all, the area of Bhutan. Nepal, post our economic blockade and our interference in their adoption of the new constitution and coming to power of the communist regime with the support of China, which has got inclination towards China, and they have come to power on the stance of our anti-India stance primarily. It is definitely drifting towards China, and public sentiment is also against India, which is being whipped up now with the Kala Pani and new maps being prepared and all those things which you are hearing, which has added to the complexity of the issue. This was complication was increased further when our chief stated publicly that apparently Nepal is doing something at the behest of someone else, implying China, What he's saying is absolutely correct, but saying some things like this diplomatically, well, I will reserve my comments because no country, sovereign country, would like to be called that it takes actions at the behest of another country. It indicates that the sovereignty is in doubt. So that's the problem area. Anyway, this is what has happened, but what has happened has happened. That's what it is. Bangladesh is in need of Chinese funds. Now, India's internal issues of CAA and NRC, this politics, which is going to be continued by this Hindu majoritarian rule we have now, has tremendous potential of creating rift or differences in Bangladesh. So Bangladesh has to be wary of that, and Bangladesh also needs infrastructure development, and for that China has got the funds and they are supplying them, and Bangladesh is benefiting. So there also chances of drifting towards China are there. In any case, China is the emerging superpower, while US is a declining superpower. We do not know after COVID-19 whether US will still be considered the premier superpower. It will be China. Let us see what happens. Sri Lanka has also been coming under Chinese influence. You will be knowing about the port, Hambantota, Chinese investments and all that. We say that our Danka, Badra and all that, but all those who study things little deliberately will know that this is all false propaganda. We are doing nothing great as far as our relations with our neighbors are concerned. Afghanistan, once again, it is getting Chinese money. China is doing mining in Afghanistan. The influence is increasing. Afghanistan is benefiting economically. So there also the influence is on the rise. Now go little north and westwards. So then we come to Russia and the Central Asian countries. Now they also welcome the OBOR program of China. They want to join. They stand to benefit from it. These are underdeveloped countries which are resource rich in minerals, oil, gas, pipeline of gas and oil are coming through these regions towards China. They're going towards that. Contiguous to these regions of Afghanistan and the Central Asian republics is the Xinjiang region of China, which is underdeveloped. And they have got the problem of Uyghur Muslims, which China is controlling through repression and the changing of demography. So China is also interested that economic development takes place in this area, as also they do not get influenced by the militancy, which is very much there in Afghanistan. And the possibility exists even through the ethnic linkages through these countries, Muslim areas. So they want development to take place and repression to continue to control. The Chinese policy for Tibet, Xinjiang has been economic development, political repression. That is what they continue to do. And all these countries are also slowly coming under the debt trap of China, because they are all taking money, are incapable of repaying that. And the benefit they get is that they are able to export their raw material. They get connectivity to the Arabian Sea through the Gwadar port and infrastructure development. They hope in due course will benefit them. Of course, China is looking at its selfish interests. The details of the incident are regularly coming in the media. I will not get into the details of how many troops have been amassed by China. There have been reports of 10,000 and all that. I mean, 10,000 you can't put in such small areas, but reports are there. Nakula, Pangang Sole, Galwan area, and construction activities being undertaken. Now that you will be seeing the maps and all of these. My knowledge about China dates back to 1992 when I did a minor research project on India-China relations in '92 when I did my Defense Services Staff College course. Thereafter, I did 2 tenures on the LAC. One was in Sikkim in '97, and thereafter in 2000, 2001, I was in Tawang. Sikkim area, where I served on the westernmost fringe of the area came this Nakula Pass. There's nothing much in that area. It's a flat piece of barren area. There's nothing much value to anyone. It's well south of Sangpo. I mean, I see no tactical benefits if they take some land and all that. These areas. Anyway, but they have raised. But now the focus has shifted more to Galwan and the Pangangso Lake area. So these have been my experiences. So I have a little bit of ground experience working in these areas. So now, once I did happen to attend a border personal meeting. I was lucky in the year 2000. We had a delegation to celebrate 50 years of diplomatic relations between India and China. At Bumla meeting, I was the commander of the troops representing India. See, neither India nor China want war. Hence, there is hardly any chance that there will be a war. So you can please tell your friends and neighbors and parents, family members that is what an old soldier thinks. China will definitely enhance its influence in the contested regions by improving defenses and their communication. We can do nothing about it. China does not need any further territory. If it wanted, then it could have retained the gains made in 1962 war. They had already captured practically the entire Arunachal Pradesh. They did not retain it. So let us now come to things which you may not get at very many places in analysis. Maybe some places I will give the inferred aims as I see them of China undertaking this. See, China has reason to arouse nationalist feelings internally to divert attention from the pressure they are feeling externally as well as internally from their population after this COVID. Just see that the young doctor who died of COVID, who had first reported about this, was the whistleblower for this COVID. He has now been given the highest award of China, equivalent of our Bharat Ratna. Then its aim could be to deter India from drifting closer towards the US and Western powers and start denouncing China. Show India's position in Asia and as also clarify the inability of any power to come to India's rescue in case there is a war. Show India's neighbors or the entire South Asian region as well as Asia as to who is the boss in the region, and nobody should try to meddle in the Xinjiang region, and it would be sensible for them to cooperate with China or accept Chinese hegemony. These, I feel, are the aims. So it is asserting its muscles, and that is what it is. Soon these things will subside.